Okay, let me show you something really awesome. Also using the paper Japanese lantern. Once again, these are lightweight, totally portable. They only cost $1.50 or $2 a piece, depending on how many you buy. They are fragile, but who gives a damn? And collapsible. Right now I have an SP28, it could be any speed light that you prefer, hooked to one of my pocket lizards and a PC sync cable. You can probably see where I'm going with this. I'm going to drop it into my Japanese lantern here, and then I'm going to drop in my wire support. There we go. Now what you want to do with your speed light is raise, or rather drop in front the diffusion filter. And let me get my speed light positioned properly here. Now it is the case with these Japanese lanterns that there's a hole in top and a hole in bottom, so if you don't want the lighthouse effect, which of course you don't, and what I'm about to describe to you, like on a post-honeymoon wedding shoot to finish up the wedding shoot that I did, is that I'll cut out a piece of tracing paper about yay big and actually tape it to both ends. But what's the easiest thing to do is to actually place the bottom hole towards the ground, so there's no light leaking coming out, and I'll actually place the piece of translucent tracing paper right over top of the top hole. Either that, or you're going to have the bottom covered by the ground or the top covered by the shrub, but bring a piece of tracing paper with you either way. So what I did is I actually have one of these suspended about 6 foot. I had a bride and groom post-honeymoon. Put on the dress, or actually 2 times. Once was the wedding dress, and the groom was not in his tux since it was a rental. And he put on a button-down shirt, and she was in her wedding gown, and we did a late evening shoot. And I had 3 of these. I suspended one in the tree from 8 feet at a quarter blast and manual power. The 1/16, about 5 foot behind the bride, and it was 1/8, as I recall, about 3 foot in front of the groom. You need to place these, you have to determine what the exposure is. I actually did a full blast or half blast 8 feet above the bride and groom. Actually strung a nylon string over a tree branch, raised it up. I actually exposed for that, and I adjusted my 2 eggs, as I call these light eggs. I'll actually place them down for illumination. Tripod shot, in this case, shutter speed doesn't really matter. Whatever you've got with the trip on your speed lights are all firing at once off the hot shoe, or you can actually just open up and actually hand hold the remote trigger and fire at once. And as soon as you open up the shutter, fire it. When it closes in a second, it doesn't matter. The exposure is the same anyway. Exposure, depth of field, your shutter doesn't matter in such an instance, unless it's before the sun sets. But this was actually completely dark by the time I got everything adjusted perfectly. So I did some various exposures of intimacy between the bride and groom, fully clothed, of course. I'm not talking about intimacy as far as nudes. And these make for beautiful, beautiful lighting effects. Another thing that's very useful, once I had a blue gel. You get one of these packs. You got every color in the rainbow of speedlight gels that actually go on top of your speedlight. So you can actually change the colors, although you don't want to get too freaky. You don't want to have, like, red, green, and blue. Maybe you might think of an instance where that is feasible. However, I actually added a light blue filter over top of the one that was hanging from the tree limb. And it was about, this of course is only about 6 feet off the ground. The other one was 8 feet off. But I added a very light blue, like I have here currently in this lantern. These are LEDs, not a speed light. And the other 2 pods, or the eggs, the light eggs as I've always called them, were of course on the ground with regular white light illumination. And of course it's being diffused through this translucent tracing paper material that the Japanese lanterns are made out of. So this is $2 a kick-ass. This is also assuming, of course, that you have some wireless triggers and 2 or 3 speed lights. You got your camera set up in the tripod. You got 1 of 2 options. You can stick your wireless trigger in your hot shoe, fire it that way. Shutter speed doesn't really matter. You expose for depth of field. You expose for your primary, for main illumination, and then you adjust your 2 Easter eggs, as I've called them, or light eggs or light pods. Some people have called them light pods. That's Doesn't matter what the hell you call them. You have to adjust those two, so that's going to take 2 or 3 minutes. After you've actually done this a 3 times, you'll know exactly how far away to place them, and you're going to have them set in manual mode at like 1/32 or 1/16, and you're going to know that's enough. So there's going to be proper illumination between your primary illumination and your other two, and you want to play with, and let's say a pack of these, which I think it has like 18 filters in them. They're only like $5 or $6. You should always have these in your pack with your lighting equipment, because they're so very useful to add to speed lights for stuff like this. So you can have this be a blue light pod, or it can simulate the sun or the evening sun. Of course, it's not going to look like the evening sun. Of course, it's going to look like a Japanese lantern. However, as is the case, you got a nice shallow depth of field. You bring your bride and groom back, 4 or 5 feet from your camera, depending on the position of your camera relative to your hanging Japanese lantern. You can get this well enough, very, very neat effect, well enough out of focus that you'll wonder what this glowing orb is, depending on whether it's white light or whether you have a filter on it that is illuminating the bride and groom. And it makes for a very mystical, beautiful effect. And just try this, okay? It works perfectly, and it really is foolproof. I mean, you could teach a blind person how to set this up. I mean, it's not that hard. You just expose for your main illumination, wherever you want to place that. I'll hang it over a tree branch. If you want to do this in the studio right now, I have it hanging from a boom pole. You want to do it that way, that's perfectly fine. Hopefully you're going to have enough room to actually get this lantern back further away from me than this is right now, to get it out, get it within the picture, but get it outside the depth of field of what you're shooting for, so you have this nice, beautiful illumination, whatever color that may be. So let me actually adjust this. Of course, this is LEDs in here, and I have a speed light in here. I'll actually adjust with a gel on my speed light to, say, this color. Let me turn off the light, and then you can get the effect of what I'm talking about. Right here, or right here. I can't get a true orange out of these LEDs, but I can kind of get close. So basically like this, but totally out of the depth of field, and it is a gorgeous effect. And people, this is the crap that people eat up, and this is what you pad your portfolio with. And we're talking $2 worth of paper Japanese lanterns, okay? Incredibly useful in studio, incredibly useful on location. These are really useful for nudes, for nude photography. You can think of 1,000 things to do. A lot of it's going to have to be tripod use. I mean, unless it's a speed light like this, if you want to do handheld, you're going to have to be on tripod for, a quarter second, half a second, a full second of exposure, using weak LED light like this. Otherwise, if you need to use a speed light with a gel, that also works too, so you can do everything handheld. Beautiful, beautiful effects. Like I said, the only additional thing you have to do is cut some tracing paper for either one or both holes, so you don't have the lighthouse effect of the light shooting out. But that's no big deal either. I mean, go down to your local Hobby Lobby or your stationery store that has all the sort of artsy-fartsy arts and crafts crap, and buy yourself a pack of $5 tracing paper. It's about like that. It's got 50 sheets of tracing paper. That's basically what this stuff is. So once you drop your speed light in there, you can cover up those 2 holes. Incredibly useful. $2. This $2 is, I don't know. I'm trying to say the spectrum of what you could do with it and the results that you get out of it are incredible. So anyway, this is a 2-part series on Japanese lanterns I've been meaning to do. It's on a long list of neat speed light tips and tricks that I'm going to be showing you. And I hope I gave you some ideas. And trust me, this works. And if you drop $2 into these Japanese lanterns and you don't think that it does exactly what I say it does, I'll kiss your fanny or something, because it absolutely does work, and it works perfectly. Thank you for watching. And if you like this video, drop me a buck or two, or you can tell me to jump off a cliff, whatever makes you the most happy. Catch you later, another video from Angry Photographer. Bye.